and I started to see this scene play out in front of me. And this scene was this entire restaurant that I was looking at from the ceiling, looking down. And I could see everything. I could see my buddy. I could see him collapsing on the booth. I saw him get taken away in an ambulance. I saw and heard all the emotions, the thoughts of everyone in the room.
Wow.
And yeah, it was very different because to me it almost felt like a movie. It really did. It felt like a movie. I know that's hard to understand, but it really did. It felt like a movie. But I was hearing every single thought, every single worry. Um, I could feel the emotions and the thoughts of everyone in the room.
Welcome back to the Natalie Rustic podcast. Today's guest is a husband and father. He is a counselor, teacher, and mentor at Living God's Light. He's the co-author of Light After Death, and today Vinney Todd Tolman shares his near-death experience with you all. Today's account is quite remarkable as Vinney was pronounced dead for over 45 minutes in a body bag headed to the morgue. And today's account is quite remarkable as we find out a rookie paramedic is the one who in fact brought Vinney back to life. And so if you guys can stick right through till the end, Vinney also teaches you about some of his counseling and mentoring about the power of thoughts and intentions and how to manifest a better life today. So without further ado, I welcome you, Vinney Todd Tolman.
Well, good morning. I'm coming to you today from the cold Mountain West today. And my story begins back in 2003. My story begins with a supplement me and one of my best friends, we tried for the very first time from a new company. This new supplement, we had taken different versions in the past, but this new version was a different version than what we were used to. And come to find out, it was toxic. Me and my buddy, we took this supplement and instantly we knew something was wrong. So we went to a restaurant down the street and decided, hey, maybe we'll get something to eat and we'll feel better. But we didn't. My buddy went in the restaurant, he collapsed on a booth. And meanwhile, I went into that same restaurant, but went in the restroom, in the bathroom, and I locked the door. And when I locked that door, I sealed my fate, because that's where I died. My buddy, he went in on that booth, he collapsed, he vomited. The manager of that restaurant, he called 911. He got my buddy hauled away and taken to a hospital where they kept him overnight and released him the next day, totally fine. He just was treated for poisoning.
Wow.
Meanwhile, I'm in that restroom and my door is locked. I did the same thing, but my problem is I passed out. I passed out and landed on my back when I passed out. So here I was laying on my back and I started to aspirate or vomit and then breathe in that vomit. So I suffocated. There and then I suffocated. The next thing I remember is just being dipped into a cold electric feeling, like a cold energetic feeling, but very alive. And I went from being physical to spiritual, and I didn't recognize that there was a change. I just recognized something did change, and I started to see the scene play out in front of me. And this scene was this entire restaurant that I was looking at from the ceiling, looking down. And I could see everything. I could see my buddy. I could see him collapsing on the booth. I saw him get taken away in an ambulance. I saw and heard all the emotions, the thoughts of everyone in the room.
Wow.
And yeah, it was very different because to me it almost felt like a movie. It really did. It felt like a movie. I know that's hard to understand, but it really did. It felt like a movie. But I was hearing every single thought, every single worry. I could feel the emotions and the thoughts of everyone in the room. And as I'm participating and watching all this happen, I see that there is a dead body in the bathroom, and I could see that nobody was seeing this dead body in there. And I started to actually feel bad for who that was, whoever that was. And to me, it wasn't possible for that to be me, because me was up here watching everything. It wasn't possible for that down there to be me, because again, me was up here watching everything. So it was very foreign to me. I didn't think that it was possible that that could be, and didn't even dawn on me at all. As I'm participating and hearing everything and really embracing this experience, this new experience that I'd never experienced before, I saw the manager go over and knock on the bathroom door, open it up, and find the dead body. I saw the emotions he had. I saw the emotions of his helper, this lady who was helping him, this young lady. I saw the emotions of the cook who didn't want to go look at the dead body because he had seen death before in his home country. I saw and felt all the emotions of all the people there. As they called 911 or they called emergency services, they recognized that the body was cold. They had touched the body and saw it was cold. So emergency services directed them to not touch it anymore and to wait for an ambulance to come. The ambulance came, and it was a new rookie coming with two veteran medics. So it was a three-man team. Two of these medics had been on the job for a long time, and this other gentleman, who was about the same age as the other two, it was his first week, and you could tell that he was very passionate and excited about this new job and this new career for him. And I could hear and feel his emotions, his desire to help and to make a difference. As he gets there to the scene and sees this dead body, he has to follow the direction of his veteran medics, the two senior medics. And they did some preliminary attempts to resuscitate this body. They did chest compressions. They did a little bit of work on the body, but quickly they had diagnosed that the body had already been passed for a while. So they proceeded to bag this body up. They put it in the ambulance. As they did, this rookie medic, he felt horrible. He felt as if he was wasting his time in this career if he couldn't try. He felt like he really wanted to try. He felt like just giving up and putting him in a bag was not right. He felt he wanted to try more. But he went ahead and followed the direction of his two senior companions and decided to go ahead and follow the direction that they gave him, bag the body up. They put it in the back of the ambulance. As they drove away from that area where they found the body at this restaurant, this medic, he felt still so horrible. And I could see that the aching in his heart, that he really wanted to make a difference. It made his heart space, like around where his heart was, it literally started to glow, as if there was a light inside of his shirt, like literally inside of his shirt. And it was interesting to me to see this glowing heart. I'd never seen something like that before. And again, I'm still thinking this is a movie. And I'm wondering, that's kind of an interesting choice. Why would they make the light come from inside this man? And as I'm watching this light start to glow around his heart, I felt this very strong force. It felt almost like someone throwing a ball or a football or something over my shoulder. I felt it very fast. And I felt this force go over my left shoulder, and I felt it hit this gentleman. And as it hit him, I heard a very loud voice say, "This one's not dead." And this gentleman, he froze. He was sitting there just thinking, and when he heard that, he froze. He completely froze. And from this point, he looked around at the two other medics, thinking that maybe they were trying to play a trick on him or play a prank. And he realized it wasn't from them. He realized it wasn't them, that this is something different. And he shrugged it off, thinking, well, maybe it was my imagination. Well, they went further down the street, and only about a block further down the street, the heart space was still glowing. The glowing light got bigger and brighter, literally bigger and brighter, till it went above where his head was, where he was literally glowing above his head all the way to his waist. And again, this light was coming from within, not on the outside. And again, for the second time, this force went over my left shoulder, and I heard even louder this time, "This one's not dead." And with the second time, that was enough for him, for this rookie medic. He decided he wanted to take action. He wanted to start working on the body. He felt like he needed to do something because something was delivering this message to him. He unzipped the body bag. He undid some straps around the neck and the chest so he could unzip the body bag. As he unzipped the body bag, he was feeling all over the neck area, the armpit area. There was no pulse. It was cold. It was clammy. It was wet. He still wasn't dissuaded. He continued to try to feel down in the inside of the leg. There's a big artery, and he tried to feel down there for the artery to see if there's any kind of warmth or pulse or anything. And as he felt down there, he put pressure on the thigh itself. As he did, he made contact with like the femur bone. As he made contact with that bone, I actually felt an ignition or a spark where I was and where he was. We felt it together. And that was the first kind of inkling that somehow I was involved in this story. Somehow I was involved in this scene that was playing out in front of me. And that spark, that ignition that I felt, and he felt too, that was enough for him. He decided he wanted to at least take the procedures of trying to resuscitate this body. Even though it wasn't a pulse, it was something. And that was enough for him that he went ahead and began the resuscitation process. He went ahead and forced oxygen into the lungs. He hooked up these special diodes onto the body, and he used a thing called a defibrillator. And as he turned it on, these alarm bells went off. When the alarm bells went off, the other two medics, they turned around. They were sitting in the front of the ambulance. They didn't know what was going on back there. They heard the alarms. They turned back and see him working on this dead body. And you can imagine they were very upset. They really chastised and yelled at this rookie and told him he was going to get fired. He could even get arrested, that he's not supposed to do this to dead bodies, that it was desecrating a dead body to do what he was doing. And it didn't dissuade him at all. He went ahead and let the alarm go, and then they shocked the body. When they shocked the body, it jerks, literally jerks in the air. When it jerked, everyone waited, everyone hesitated and waited for any sign of life, and there was none. But it didn't slow down the motion of this rookie. He went ahead and reset the charge to go a second time. And on the second time, the charge hit the body, it jolted, and then there was a single heartbeat, just one single heartbeat, and then back to flatline. But that single heartbeat was enough that the other two medics backed off. And they hushed up, they went quiet, and they allowed this rookie to do what he was doing. And when he got to the third round, he did go to a third round. The initial shock happened to the body. Still, there was no sign for a second, and then a steady heartbeat picked up on its own.
Amazing.
And that's the miracle to me. To me, that's truly a miracle, because where this happened, it was less than a block from a hospital. So where the heart started, within a block, they were at a hospital. There was a trauma team there, and they were ready to meet the body. But the ambulance turned in, they turned the body over to the hospital staff. As they did, they were strapping the body down because it was going into convulsions and seizures. As it was moving around and doing seizures, They knew they needed to strap it down to administer and work on this body. And until this point, I still didn't know it was me. But as they strapped the body down, they got the legs strapped down, they got the arms strapped down. But as they strapped the left arm, I'm left-handed, I literally felt someone strapping me down on my left side. So I looked to see my left arm. Where I was sitting watching all this happen, I looked down to see my left arm, and what I saw was the left arm of the body. And that was my moment that I realized that what I'd been watching this whole time was my own death.
Wow. And is
And
that the moment that you realize, oh God, I've just died?
yes, till that point, it was just entertainment. It was an interactive entertainment, but it was just entertainment to me. Even though I had so much more sensory than normal, it was still just passive and entertainment to me. It wasn't real. But then when this happened, it people say that's your come to Jesus moment. That was my moment where everything hit the fan. I realized that I was dead, that I had watched my own death, and that now I was watching them try to bring my body back. And it was very scary. And I say the mind, even though I wasn't in my body. But my mind, my consciousness was still existing, even after the body was dead, like gone. And I was having these thoughts and having this experience completely outside the body while the body was dead. But my consciousness went to this very dark space, this very dark place, because it thought, how could you be so dumb? You didn't know you've been watching your own death. For over an hour, you've been watching your own death. I had no idea whatsoever.
That's incredible.
But yeah, I just went to this really dark space, and in this dark space, I started to see all these quick flashes, and I saw a lot of the bad things I ever did in my life. And as I saw these things flashing, and when I say flash, I mean just so quick, all of it at once, but yet I could break it down to individual occurrences of things I did.
Would
Then
you
all of a
call
sudden,
that, a life review?
yes, I would call it in mini a life review. To me, I always thought like a life review is going to be sit back and like watch the good and the bad that you ever did in your life. But it was like so quick, so instantaneous. But yet at the same time, my consciousness, it could pick out like individual things that were going on, and I could like digest it or absorb it, even though it was all negative, all the negative things I ever did. And out of nowhere, I started to feel like my light, my who I was, my energy of who I was starting to be put out, like almost like putting out a flame. Mm-hmm. And as that pressure and that darkness was coming in on me, this unbelievable warmth came from behind me. And this warmth, it was just all encompassing unconditional love. And it came from behind me, and it like crept over me and started to overtake who I am, and like my consciousness. And as it overtook me, I started to see all these good things I ever did, and realized there was so much more ripple effect or secondhand effect in good than I ever could have done bad. And as I saw all these good things that happened, I started to feel unconditional love. But what's weird is this love was coming to me, and I could feel it, not because of any good I did, but because I existed. This love was just pouring on me, just because I exist, because I am who I am. I am created. I am me. I could feel this unconditional love. And this love, it's hard to put into words, because this love literally washed away anything bad that ever happened to me in my life. In seconds, whole lifetimes of hardship were washed away in me. And it filled up all the gaping holes that life had put in me. And I wanted to see, where is this coming from? Like, what is this? How is this? Where is this coming from?
And are you
And so
still in the void at this point?
I would say I'm still in like the dark space, like the dark, quiet place, but I'm feeling all this light pouring over me from behind. So I turned around to see my consciousness, or see my countenance, to see where this was coming from. And I turn around, and there I see this man. He's all in white, white long hair, white long beard, and very, very pink skin, pink cheeks, pink forehead. But his skin, it was so amazing, because if you're at the beach at sunrise or at sunset and you see the sand, how it glistens in the sun, that's exactly how his skin glistened. It glistened like all over. And light was pouring out of him, literally pouring out of him. And I realized that this loving energy, this unconditional love, was coming through him, not necessarily from him, but through him. And I realized that it was God, the Creator's love, coming through this gentleman. So, instantly I thought, oh, this must be God, because what I was feeling was God. So I thought, you must be God. And just to have that thought, he started to like chuckle a little bit. And he's like, no, son, I'm not God. But I noticed that he didn't use his mouth, like his mouth did not move. But I fully understood him in his own voice. And I realized that all communication there, you don't use your mouth at all. You don't need to. Because everything is such at an ultimate high love frequency. Your interchange is instantaneous. It's like a computer. The second you have a question, the answer is already there. And so I thought, this must be God. He laughs and he's like, no, son, I'm not God. And so my follow-up was, well, you must be Jesus. Even though he didn't look like Jesus, I thought, well, he must be Jesus. And he laughed again and said, no, son, I'm not Jesus. But I am here to be your guide. You can call me Drake, and I'm going to help you go wherever you want to go.
Wow.
And so I was given this option: go back to where you came from, where all this hardship and struggle is going on, or come with me, and I'm going to show you what's next. And so, of course, I'm like, I'm going with you. To me at that point, looking back at the body, it looked like hell. Literally, what was going on around the body, that looked like hell. So I
probably wouldn't want to go back either.
Yeah, and plus he had just poured this tremendous love over me, and I'd never felt something like that. My whole life I had never felt that. So I wanted more of that. So definitely I said, hey, I want to go with you. Wherever you're going, I want to go with you. So he showed me that he could take me on this journey, and he wouldn't say necessarily where we're going, but he said where we're going, it's not just a point of reference in space where we're going from Earth to this space. We're going to go from the low frequency of Earth to the much higher frequency of our destination. And at this destination, we weren't just going to be journeying in distance. We had to go journey in understanding and frequency, which that's very different than here. Here on Earth, we hop on a train, or we hop on a bus, or we hop in our car, we hop in the lorry, we go from point A to point B by moving in space. But we weren't just moving in space. We had to move to higher dimensions, to higher frequencies. And
could
to do so,
explain that? Oh, there you go. I was going to ask if you could just explain how you would do that.
Well, it's kind of like I would have to dissect the energy of what I was doing and fully embrace it to be able to move forward. So he would essentially, if you understand what's called like data packet delivery, it's the way that a lot of like computers and electronic networks interchange back and forth. They send packets, and then the computer opens the packet and all the data is there, right? And it's like essentially he would shoot me an understanding, a principle. And then this principle, I would open it up and I would try to understand it the best I could. If I could accept it as possibly part of my life path, if I could accept it as part of my path, I wouldn't have to fully embrace it. I just had to accept that it was part of my path. And if I did, then I was able to keep moving forward, keep moving towards this destination. But if I couldn't, it actually prevented me from going to this place. So understanding was preventing me, physically preventing me from moving forward until I could embrace it. So what Drake did is he showed me principle by principle, little stories, little analogies of allowing me to embrace in my own way these multiple principles. And essentially he laid out 10 major principles to me. Within each principle, though, there's just, hundreds more, but these 10 major principles he gave to me. And as he worked me through these 10 major principles, I had to fully encompass them and embrace them. And as we did, we were actually getting to heaven. By the time we got to that 10th principle, that last principle, we were literally touching down in heaven, in the heaven space, where I was literally in this grand place. That's this amazing, immense space, so much larger than our universe. And where I'm touching down here, I'm realizing that all of us beings here on Earth are much bigger in space than we are here. There we're much more vast, and it's weird because we are omnicognizant. That meaning we are aware of all in that space, because all is us and us is all. It's so beautiful, but yet we have our individualistic consciousness, but yet we're also part of the whole. It's just such a beautiful experience. I had to go through 10 really hard principles, and these 10 principles, it would take hours to go through all 10 of them, but to explain it a little bit, I had to understand that I needed to be authentic with myself before I could grow. And authenticity is peeling away all the different personalities that you carry. Because we put on a different personality for mom, we put on a different personality for best friend, we put on a different personality for work. And I needed to peel all those layers off and see what was underneath, and only allow what was underneath to be me, and to not identify with all these sub-personalities of myself. And so I had to learn authenticity. Once I learned authenticity, then I actually had to look at myself and love myself, because I wanted to love God. I wanted to love heaven. I wanted to love my guide, Drake, but I couldn't until I loved myself first.
Beautiful.
And it's really funny. It's just like when you're on the airplane and they talk about dropping the oxygen masks. You can't help other people before helping yourself. And the reason why is if you try to love someone else before you love yourself, eventually you die.
Yeah.
Because you're sharing the love that you don't carry for yourself. How do you expect them to truly love you if you can't love you?
Oh, that's so powerful and so relevant to today.
It is, and so many people don't understand that they're constantly looking outside themselves for their happiness. But the key to the universe, the key to the unlimited capacity of the universe is within us. That God is not without, God is within. That if we want to connect to the universe, if we want to connect to heaven, connect to the Creator, we need to stop trying to find our happiness outside ourselves. And we need to turn off our technology. We need to turn off all these outside stimulants and turn within. Because there, in peacefulness, in solitudeness, we ignite the spark of the Creator, the spark of life. It's there already, but it takes us turning off all the outside stimuli to be able to actually activate the light with it.
Wow.
And so I actually had to learn that God's light is inside of all of us. that it's up to us to ignite it, to feed it, and to grow it. And so I learned about that. I learned about one of the most important things that and I teach this when I coach and I help people. You need to master your hour of power. That's the first 30 minutes when you wake up and the last 30 minutes when you go to bed. And whatever you put in that sacred space, that is what you're worshiping.
Yeah.
And during an election cycle, maybe you're worshiping the news. Maybe you're worshiping politics. During the World Cup, maybe you're worshiping, soccer or football. During COVID, what did a lot of us do? We were worshiping the death count. We were worshiping the vaccine status. We were worshiping all these things. And what did it do? We were putting this low grade worldly energy into our hour of power. That means we were worshiping the temporalness or the temporariness of this world. And it's so important for us to understand that in that hour of power, we need to be very, very conscious.
Yeah, I was gonna say you need to be conscious of the thoughts that you first think of. Yeah, because that's in turn what's going to manifest your day and your reality, really.
Absolutely. And what's weird is if you look at the hour of power as like a cup, what you pour into that cup, it becomes your universe. So here's what happens is it starts out with our thoughts. We can control our thoughts, but our thoughts literally will become our habits. Our habits will become our character. Our character will literally direct our destiny.
Wow.
And that's where we go. So it begins with our thoughts. We have to master our thoughts and be very cognizant of what we put in our temples, in our holy temples right here. That's our holiest space. What we allow within, that's our holiest space. And yet sometimes we just, we pull up to the dump and we start shoveling things in. Sometimes the dump is, social media, sometimes Facebook, Netflix, HBO, Twitter, all these organizations, we just show up and start letting that stuff in. But yet we wonder why we're miserable. We wonder why we're sad.
And how often or how much of your time do you realize that you're spending thinking of things that you're unconsciously unaware of? You don't know the thoughts you're actually thinking, and that's what's creating you virtually.
It is. It's literally creating you. So what you allow in your hour of power is what you allow your destiny to be, is what you allow your future to be. So if you want a future of a peaceful happiness and bliss and family, then put that in your hour of power. Or if you do prescribe to a religion, put your sacred scripture in the hour of power. Connect to your creator there. If you're more of just a spiritualist, then meditate there. Connect within, but turn technology off. Put it away. During your hour of power, put it away unless you're using it as a tool to connect to your hour of power. So if you're, seeking out positive meditations, seeking out positive messages, then technology you're using responsibly by putting it in your hour of power. But it is very, very easy to allow, TikTok, YouTube shorts, these videos, Facebook shorts, allow these into your hour of power. Now they've, entertainment of sorts has cheated you of your hour of power. In essence, you have cheated you because you allowed it in there.
Yeah.
But we have to be very, very cognizant of that. And that hour of power is precious because what goes there goes here in our heart. And what goes there, we go where we go with our life. So it is very important that we understand that. And then we also understand the relationship of good and evil. And there is good and evil. Anyone who says there's not is lying to you.
Yeah.
The good is the direction of love and service and selfless servitude. And evil is selfishness or self-serving. and both are just directions. It's not necessarily that, you're going to go to hell if you're evil, and you're just going in a low frequency direction, away from creation, away from the universe, away from our, God, the creator. So we
And
have
do
to
you
be.
believe that that's a choice that we make for ourselves as well? Because I do understand that there is a hellish place. And
Mhm.
I'm probably going off subject here, but I would like to ask what your thoughts are on that space. Do you believe that we
So
send ourselves there?
the the greatest hell that ever existed only exists in our own mind, here in our mind space. That's
Yeah.
the hell. And the only way we go there is for us to put ourselves there. How do we put ourselves there? We put crap in our hour of power. We put junk in our hour of power. Then we put ourselves in hell. Think about that.
Yeah.
If all you do is read the news every waking moment, where does your mind go after a week? You go to
Yeah.
hell. Like, literally, your mind goes into this hell space because the news is just such negative everywhere, right? So you think the whole world's going to end. You really do. And that's hell. That's hell. That's a modern day hell.
So it's a
It's an
time construct, not a
it
time
is
construct, a thought construct.
a
Yeah.
thought construct, yeah, an energy construct. But
Yeah.
the only walls in hell are built by us, and the key to get out and to get in, we hold. So if there is a hell for anybody, it's only the hell they've created, the hell that they allow themselves into. And what puts them there? Their choices, their thoughts, and their thoughts
Yeah.
again become their actions and their habits and their destiny. So it's really, really important that people understand that master your thoughts first.
Yeah.
Honor
Incredible.
your hour of power. If you master your thoughts and you honor your hour of power, you're going to be in the top 98% of the world as far as of happiness, success, and performance in all aspects of life. I mean, eternal aspects, temporal aspects. I mean, all of it.
Yeah,
You're going to
because
be
it's all
so much.
connected. Yeah.
It is all connected. Now, does that mean that every successful person is connected to the creator? No, not at all.
Mm,
But what it does mean is those who are connected to the creator are successful, all of them. Even
beautiful.
those who don't have necessarily a lot of resources or means, they still are extremely wealthy with their energy. You don't have to be rich to be wealthy. You can be a lower income but still be extremely wealthy. You can be more wealthy than the biggest billionaires if you're connected to source, connected to the universe, connected to the creator.
Yeah,
But
because that's like the
it
void
first
that's
starts here.
filled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have
that's
to
right.
you have to master those thoughts first, and then once you master the thoughts, then you can start mastering your actions, mastering your habits, mastering your destiny, your direction of where your destiny goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I did. I went through these 10 principles, and it was amazing to learn that there was so much more. And one of the biggest things, that this life, I was always taught to believe that this life was a courtroom for a pass or a fail.
Mm.
That you go to heaven, you get the pass, you get the St. Petersburg stamp, or the St. Peter's stamp to get through the pearly gate. And if you fail, you sin, you make mistakes, you go to hell. That's what I thought in my own head growing up.
Yeah, me too. I
And
used to be
come
so scared.
Yeah, and come to find out that this life is not a courtroom in any way, shape, or form. This life is a classroom. We're here just to learn. And once you learn that even to fail is to still pass, it's just a question of how far do you get to go with your learning. So
Yeah.
it's more of a proactive system, that the creator never throws away a soul, never throws one soul away. Every single soul is immensely important, from the worst of us to the best of us. But what happens is the creator created this system that the soul gets to plug into and get whatever we need out of it. We
Yeah.
literally get whatever we need out of this system.
I like how you mentioned
Unless,
plug into, as if we're not fully away from where we came from. We're
yeah, we're
plugged
not.
into.
That's
Yeah.
all, that one's a whole nother discussion. But yeah,
Yeah.
we're in a very sacred, protected space. Our real existence is there. Here is a sliver of who we are. A sliver of who we are is here in this world, in this consciousness, in this construct.
Simulation.
Our avatar, or our body, call it what you want, body, avatar, it's the same thing.
Mm.
And we get to have this experience where we get to learn in the classroom, not the courtroom. No
Yeah.
souls get thrown away. No souls get thrown away. And here's the funny thing is, look at a human family of, five, six, two, however many kids. Look at the human families and go to those human parents who love them like humans, like, lowly humans as we are, and ask them which one of their kids would they be willing to throw away to save the
Ooh.
other. Would
Yeah.
would we be willing to do that? I'm a
Mm-mm.
parent of two amazing kids, and there's no possible chance I would throw away either soul to save the other.
I'd throw away
I would do
myself beforehand.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And somehow our religions make us believe that God, the creator, is there in heaven space, creating all of existence and saying, I'm going to take this tiny little portion and I'm going to save them. I'm going to throw away the rest.
Yeah, right.
And
Mm.
and somehow us humans love better than that. No. Mm-mm. Nope, not possible.
I never thought
The
that it
creator
was
of the
right.
universe, the creator of the universe that used the most tremendous power called love to build this space, to build this construct. That love permeates everything. And if you look within and stop trying to look for God without, on the outside of you, look inside, you'll get your own answers very strongly.
Yeah.
That love is permeating everything. And God doesn't throw away any race. God doesn't throw away any lifestyle. God doesn't throw away any religion. God saves them all.
That's
Now
beautiful.
here's the thing. How much are they saved? That's up to us, because
Yeah.
we're in a classroom. What do we get out of the classroom? We get out of the classroom what we put into the classroom. But that's why we're here. We're here to learn. We're
Yeah.
not here to burn. We're not here to be thrown away. We're here to learn and to be loved. And how do we feel love? We first must love ourselves. We first must turn within to find the ultimate spark of love, which is the Creator. It exists in every single one of us. I call it the light of God. It exists inside of all of us. Yeah, I have a kind of a movement called Living God's Light. And that's what it's all about, is it's about igniting that light within us. Because
Yeah.
it's there. It's within all of us.
That's so beautiful. You have to let us know a little bit more about that. I wanted to mention that I asked a channeler once if we possibly were particles of God source energy coming here to understand and create itself in this dimension. And he answered that, yeah, we are in fact particles of God. So I think that that's pretty amazing.
Well, it's God shows us our relationship to the Creator the same way we are related to our DNA parents here. So our
Mm.
biological parents, they combine to make us physically here. So if you look at your DNA, you have the father DNA, the mother DNA.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the construct of our soul, our spirit energy, our consciousness, we have our father, mother, creator DNA there. So if we
Mm.
want to connect to that inner DNA, that creator within us, we first must use that love to turn within. And when
Yeah.
we turn within with that love, we can ignite that spark, ignite it.
That's
It is
beautiful.
really weird though, once you start loving yourself. And I don't mean in the physical way. I mean, once you energetically start loving yourself, the entire universe will change for you. The entire
Yeah.
universe will change.
I've noticed a lot of changes in my life lately. It's been Quite amazing. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I made it, I made it through these 10 principles. I actually touched down in the space of heaven and I got to see, the real existence because that is the real existence. This is the virtual reality here. This has
Yeah.
nothing, this is so far off from what that is, but this is like the cheap knockoff copy of that. So what we're experiencing here is a small glimmer of what is there, but what is there is so much better. Just
Yeah.
everything about it is so much better.
Would you say
And I
that
got to,
Earth is like a micro to the macro? Like, are there any similarities for
yes,
Earth? Yeah.
there is. And what's weird is if you were to look at Earth, you would think, kind of like if you bought one of those little keychain of the Eiffel Tower, like the little
Mm.
tiniest ones you can get, they're about maybe 20 centimeters tall. You take one of
Mm.
these little tiny keychains of the Eiffel Tower, put it
Yeah.
on the ground next to the real one, okay? And ask me, are they both Eiffel Towers?
Yeah.
Yeah, but are they related? Kind of. Earth is the little miniature Eiffel Tower, and the
Yeah.
real Eiffel Tower is the real heaven. It's just so much bigger, so much
Yeah.
better, and there's so much power there. Like in such good ways, there's so much power there. Tremendous amounts of power. In fact, if I was to take a single blade of grass from heaven and somehow transport it to Earth, number one, it couldn't Earth could not exist in the same space as it because it's such a high love frequency. It's such a high
Wow.
love frequency, it would shatter Earth just to be here. It would shatter Earth because Earth is such a
Amazing.
low density space.
Yeah,
There's such
Christian Sundberg
a high
mentioned that.
frequency.
He said that on his pre-birth memories when he was coming into the womb. Have you heard of Christian Sundberg before and his
I've
pre-birth
heard of them, yeah,
memories?
yeah,
He likened it to, and then the frequency was turned down, and it was turned down,
mm-hmm.
down, 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 and then just turn it down a lot more than that, and that's the
Yeah.
frequency compared to up there. So it's pretty scary how low we are.
And well, it's weird. That's the whole reason we're here is because when we were existing only there and not here yet,
Mm.
everything that the creator wanted, we wanted because we were in such a synchronization with the creator in that love space in heaven that
Mm.
anything the creator wanted, we automatically wanted.
Yeah.
And the same way that when you are raising children here, if you never let your children move away, they will never grow up.
Yeah.
And we, as the creations of the creator realized for us to grow, for us to be individual consciousness, for us to truly be self-aware and making our own decisions, we had to go away from home because
Yeah.
when we're right there in that love space, we wanted everything God wanted. So we
Yeah.
had to go away from home to make our own choices, to make our own. And not only that, on our way, we had to pass the veil, and the veil prevents us from remembering because even if we remembered, we would make a lot of decisions just because of the memory.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
it's very important for us to have this veil of almost
Unforgetful or
secrecy or
forgetfulness.
forgetfulness so that we can independently make our choices, so that we can
Mm.
grow.
Yeah.
It's kind of like showing up to college with a scholarship. We don't realize where the scholarship's coming from. We just know it pays for school. That veil is the scholarship that allows us to come here, allows
Yeah.
us to be here in this space, learning and making choices so that we can go back with our degrees. We can go back with our education, our abilities to make these free agency choices, make these creations with our thoughts, because truly our thoughts become creations when
Yeah.
we use our words to think. We are literally putting into the universe physical movement. We're literally creating with our thoughts and with our words. So that's where it begins. It's so simple, but that's where it begins.
Yeah. It's crazy just how simple it is, right? It's complicated but
Mhm.
simple.
Yeah, it's funny. It is. If you're trying to step back and see it all, it's extremely complicated, but yet it is so simple. And
Mm.
I was there in heaven. I spent 3 days in total. I was in a coma, brain dead for 3 days. And while I was there, at the very end of my experience, I actually heard my brother on earth, saying a special prayer over my body. And he was saying
Wow.
this prayer over my body in the hospital. I'm up here in heaven, but I heard it in my ears as if my brother was right there speaking in my ears. I heard him say this special prayer over me, and he blessed me that I would be made whole and that I would come back. And at this moment, actually right before this moment, my guide Drake, he kind of brought his countenance close to me, and he gave me this hug, and he let me understand that this was going to be really hard, but it was going to be worth it. And he gave me this hug that I could talk for 2 hours just about the hug, because the way you hug there is you synchronize your vibration, you synchronize your frequency, and you literally come together
Wow.
as one essence. And what was so beautiful about it is I felt like this really high vibrating energy in myself. You know how sometimes you're a buzz, when you're just at this really high frequency and full of love,
Mm.
and he's at this extreme high frequency. As we came together, our energy of just the two of us was 4 times what it was
Like
as an
when you get the
individual.
goosebumps, like when you hear a really good
Mm-hmm.
song, like that surge of
Yes.
energy.
Yes, that
Yeah.
surge of energy. So essentially, when you brought those two energies together, it was 4 times the energy of the individual. So
Oh,
there was a
awesome.
beautiful lesson, even in that, there's a beautiful lesson that when you come together in synchronization out of love, you get 4 times the power you could ever get alone.
Wow, that's
And
powerful.
and it's really important for us to come together. Um, in like the ancient scripture says, where any of these two are together, that's where I am found. you know
Yeah.
that's where God is found, is where the two gather and create. And where do we create? We begin with love. We begin with fostering that love for each other. That's where we start to create our new universe, our own universe. And I got to experience that with this amazing hug. And then I was sent back to my body, and I went through the hardest phase of my existence in this life. That was the hardest part, was coming back, because I woke up, and now I wasn't in heaven anymore. To me, I was in hell. I was back here on
Yeah.
earth, because earth is hell to me compared to what I experienced. This is the worst as it gets. It only gets better from here, and here is actually pretty amazing most of the time. So if you think about that, how amazing it is there. I mean, there's no need to
Oh.
have any fear of death ever. And in fact, we should all be treating death differently.
You
We
know,
don't
I
need to
feel
be.
like since I known about all these NDEs, I honestly think that we should be celebrating death. We should look at death in a whole new light. We should understand that if we raise our frequency, even at that moment before death, that might even help us transition into a higher part of heaven rather than having
Absolutely,
a
absolutely.
shed. You know what I mean? So I feel like we should be talking about this all the time.
Yeah, I even have had experiences where a friend passes or dies, and when they do, I feel sadness for the family, but I
Mm.
feel I don't like to say this, but I feel a little jealousy, because I
Yeah.
know where they are. I really do. I feel a little jealousy because I know what they're experiencing now. I know what they're going through now, and it's just such a blissful, beautiful, peaceful thing that, one fine day, I'm not going to make any stupid decisions, but when my time comes, I'll be fully embracing it and loving it, and hopefully my family does too. um, and that's how the beauty of this real existence is. If you knew what was behind the veil, behind the curtain, you would understand that it's all worth it. Just like my guide Drake told me, it's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it. It's well worth it. And sure enough, it is. I Right after I came back, if only a few weeks later, I met my wife, and we ended up getting married. Right before we got married, though, we figured out who my guide was, who Drake was. And I won't do a spoiler alert here, but but I'll tell you what, it's freaking amazing. It was life changing for me because my whole experience went from possible delusion to actual experience once I found out who my guide was. Because my guide was a real person here on earth with a long
Wow.
history of serving and helping people here, but he actually had a track record of of people giving him prayers and blessings, telling him about his job after he dies. And so
Wow.
I really got to know him in the physical sense of going to heaven, but also in the physical sense, I got to know who he was here on earth too, and how he was related to me. It was a really beautiful experience. So yeah, I talk about that in my story, The Light After Death, so that people can understand that it's all linked together, that all of it is linked together. We are all individual threads on the fabric of life, and together God has quilted us together, and it's all linked together, all of it,
That's beautiful.
all of the good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly. It's all linked together, all of it. And when we can see the light, when we can see God's light, that's when we get the truth. That's when we get the eternal truth. That's when we get the inspiration, the direction. And it starts with that love, though. If we can't get that love, we can't get the direction. If we can't get that love of self, we can never love anybody else, because we
Can
won't
I?
allow anyone else to love us.
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to ask you, from this experience, do you believe that you're more religious or spiritual?
Yes, absolutely. Now, am I more traditional religious? Not necessarily. I am religious. I go to church. I teach at church. Um, I am Christian. But here's the thing. I also understand that for every fence that mankind tries to put around God, there's a bigger open space where God exists.
Mm,
So I don't necessarily prescribe to all these fences that religions put up around God,
yeah.
because God doesn't exist within a fence. God is the creator of the entire universe. And we sit here and we build these religious fences around God, but yet where's the fence around the universe?
Yeah.
There's not one.
Yeah.
God is not a God of barriers. God is a God or creator of pathways and connections. And it's
Yeah.
through connecting to each other and taking these differences and maybe tearing down these fences and allowing these bodies to come together as one. That's where you find God. And to me, I've always, since my experience, I've really felt that all the different religions represent different chakras on God's body. And how do you connect to God? You have to get alignment with all the chakras, not just
Incredible.
one. And to focus on one is beautiful and healthy, but it's also unhealthy to only focus on the one. You really need the alignment of all the religions. And
Mm,
and how do you get alignment? Get your common truths between all of them and build unity. And when you're unified
yeah.
as, and it's funny because in the scriptures, all the scriptures, in the Quran, in the Torah, in Old and New Testament Bible, even in some Hindi scripture, and also in some Buddhism, some ancient Buddhism Sanskrit, you can read um, that when you have different parts of creation, to find God, you need to come together as one body. To me,
Yeah.
that's in essence saying, for us to find out who God is, we have to come together. We have to gather the religions out
Yes.
of fostering love with each other, and there we will see the complexion of God. There we will see the weaving of the fabric of life, and there you will see the God. when we weave the fabric of life together the way God has already, we see God, we see the Creator, and we see it in our unity, not our divisiveness or separation. We see it only in unity. And that means unity through politics, through religion, through all the different fences we try to put around each other. Tear them down.
Yeah.
Come together. Come together.
And I also wanted to ask you, and I do ask a lot of NDEers, because 90% of NDEers do come out with new abilities. Did you have any new abilities that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah. So, right in the very beginning, I thought I was crazy. I could see and speak to spirit. I was seeing, now when it first happened, I could see all spirits, and that gets pretty scary because I could see the low frequency to the high frequency. So even just like us, how, us walking around on 2 feet, here we have low frequency beings, we have high frequency beings. The high frequency are love centered beings. The low frequency are very money centered, egocentric, food centric. They're very present only in the physical realm. So here in human form, we have high frequency and low frequency. Well, in spirit, it's the same. So there's spirits that have crossed over, spirits that have never been to earth life before even. They've never even had a body before. So there's low frequency. Some people would call them demons even. And then there's very high frequency. At the very highest frequency, I call angels, like God's facilitators, kind of like the overseers of this creation. And so at the very top of the scale, you have angels. At the very bottom, you have demons. So when it first happened, I could perceive and see all of everything. And it took me some time, and I learned that I have a team. Drake is part of my team. I have others, and I have angels that are on my team, and my team have helped me control that and control it so I can turn it on, turn it off.
Yeah, so you can turn it off.
Listen, listen or not listen. And what's weird is I can usually turn it on, turn it off, but once in a while I'll get sick, or I'll watch a program, or I maybe even watch a game, a football game, or a soccer game, or some type of hockey match, and the energy of me getting involved in that, now I can't speak to spirit for a while. So it's a very precious relationship, and I have to be very
pure
conscious, pure in it. You have to keep my energy very pure with it, otherwise it turns off. So I do make sure that I keep myself in a good space, so that as I'm dealing and talking with spirit, I'm talking, number one, only to the love frequencies. That means a frequency above me. Anything below where I exist is a negative frequency. Even if those spirits are not negative spirits, they're just people that passed on, but they exist at a lower frequency than where I do on my Jacob's ladder. I make sure that if I talk to them at all, I talk through my guides, through my teams, so that I'm protected. So I'm not drawn down into the river. I can reach into the river and help with my guides, but I'm never drawn down into it.
Yeah,
I reach
thank you for
upwards.
sharing. That's awesome. Of course you'd want to reach upwards, right? So to protect yourself and your energy as well. No, that's understandable.
But yeah, I do coaching where I primarily assist people to either turn on that ability, turn off that ability. Everybody's ability is going to be different, but all of us have the ability to connect to God, connect to spirit, connect to our own intuition.
This is what I love the most about talking to NDEers, because this is what I want to know.
Everybody has it. Yeah. Right? So imagine, you know how radios work, right? You take a radio, if you don't ever turn it on, you're never going to get any messages, right?
Yeah.
But if you turn on a radio and you start tuning it, you can get music, you can get talk, you can get, AM, FM radio. You might even get some CB communication, or some shortwave radio communication between truckers or something,
drivers,
right? Yeah. So all you're doing is you're tuning your dial, but so many people, they're not even turned on. So what I typically do is I try to help people turn on the radio, and then I teach them how to tune themselves, because it's that fine tuning over time that you're going to figure out what channels you're able to listen to stuff.
That
Because
is
not,
so awesome.
not everybody hears, sees, or experiences everything the same. So,
Mm.
where one person will hear a message, another person will feel it as like a gut instinct. But my
Yeah.
my goal as a coach is I teach people how to recognize what is working for them and start building on that and strengthening
Yeah.
that by following it. Yeah, following that intuition.
And how can the viewers watching find you? How can if they want to work on themselves, how do they find you? Is there a
They
website
can,
or
yeah, so they can go to livinggodslight.com, and there they can see this interview will be there. They can see all my, quite a few of my other interviews, but they can also see we're doing a workbook to teach people this. I also do coaching, and then we're also doing a retreat, so that if
yeah.
people want really hands-on with to kind of heal their inner child, heal their past, and get beyond that, so they can move forward and begin loving themselves, and then begin fostering their own relationship to spirit. We're doing that in August this upcoming year too. So we're doing all of that. Eventually, we're going to have an app and some classes too, where people can just very easily and very conveniently go through the app. That's going to be a bit out though. That's probably a year out or so. But that's the direction that we're going. That's our movement. Is
Yeah.
we want people to be able to ignite the spark of God, the spark of the Creator inside them,
Wow.
and we want them to be able to connect to that and know that literally every single one of us can connect to God, every single one of us.
Those of you who have NDEs, I'm just so blessed and honored to be able to be in the same space as you, just to even talk about this, because I feel like you're changing the world. You're bringing light one person at a time. And from your experience, would you say that you would have done any of this prior to your NDE, or was it the NDE that?
So I had a little bit of this gift. I didn't know that's what it was. I look back at my past before my experience, and I if I looked at myself like a client, like I'm coaching them, I would say, "Oh, look at this where you followed inspiration or divination. Oh, look at this, you followed your gut instinct here." And many times was I actually following spirit. I didn't credit spirit for that. I was
Yeah.
just thinking, "Oh, I just
Oh,
did
gut
this for some
feeling.
some odd reason." But what's funny though, Natalie, like you look at us NDEers as these special cases, but if we're like the lights in the web, you're the web. Like, interviewees like yourself that are going out and interviewing NDEers, to me, that's just as important, because without you, we don't get out there either. So I want to send you major respect, love, and props, because what
Oh,
you're doing makes just as much, if not more, of a difference, because you're like Charlotte's Web. You're out there bringing us all together and putting it out there for people to digest on their own platforms, on their
yeah.
own ability to digest it. So to me, I'm sending you a tremendous amount of love and respect, because to me that's
Oh.
just as hard of a job. In fact, that's probably a harder job than just dying. I mean, just die and you come back.
I'd want to have an NDE, but I mean, I am a little scared of the how to get there part, but it would be nice. But yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I appreciate your mission. I feel that you have a divine destiny yourself, that you're honoring your own divine destiny. And some people might call it a soul contract, but you're honoring your soul contract to help awaken the light within people. So thank you for being part of that. I would call it God's army. Thanks for being part of
Yeah.
God's army, and getting that message out there for people, so they recognize that there's a lot more to this realm than what the news is going to teach you, or what the
Yeah.
sports is going to teach you, or politics is going to teach you. There's so much light out there. If you just look, there's so much light, but you don't find it on the news pages. You find it in the hearts. So go out and
Yeah.
do some good work, serve some people, love some people, and I'll tell you what, you'll find God. You'll find God within. You'll find God in the eyes of the strangers you serve. That's where you'll
Yeah.
find God.
Well, I was going to ask you to leave us with a positive note, but I feel like you've just done that. I mean, is there anything that you would like to share as a takeaway for your experience?
Yes, and I actually like to close with this regularly, that people need to understand that if you if you could, for even a millisecond, step into the mind of our Creator, and you could see you through our Creator's eyes, you would start loving yourself. That's it.
Wow.
God loves us. God loves you, like who you are individually, how you are right now, not who you're gonna be, not who you are if you clean this up or do this or do this or do this. Who you are right now, sitting there watching this right now, who you are there, God loves you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Vinney. Thank you for sharing your near-death experience. Thank you for sharing your tips and tricks on how to awaken yourself, and just thank you for your presence. I just really appreciate you, and it's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, it's been an honor, Natalie, and I love technology, how, you know, I could be early morning over here and you're late night over there. But hey, that's the beauty of it, and you'd never know the magic of technology. But you know what's even more magical than technology? God's love. Way more magical, and it's out there for all of us. So thank you so much, Natalie, for all you're doing.